And here we are, Improve with Joe podcast, episode 6. Here we are with Mike.
Nice to meet you guys. I'm Mike.
I think it should pick up here if you
I don't need to do this.
You enunciate
time, right?
like you're on a podcast or like you're a public speaker.
Right.
Now that more sounds like a radio or elevator. You are on the 4th floor.
I'll make sure to enunciate
something like that
a little more properly.
And I'm going to make sure to highlight my serious mass gainer in here is 800 pure calories of mass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude. It's the serious mass, yeah.
800 calories?
One scoop is 650 calories.
Right. It's the same one that I was taking years ago. Right?
Yeah. Two scoops is 1,250 calories. Has like 50 grams of protein, 250 grams of carbs, 3 grams of creatine, just for the hell of it.
It's got it all. It's got it all. I used to actually sometimes it sounds crazy, but just take those.
Oh, just have these?
No, just take those like all day instead of eating.
Wow.
Maybe eat some eggs.
Wow, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I've done today. it's
so filling and it makes you like very kind of, it's kind of gross, but almost bloated, right? It just
absolutely. When I got a big mixer, and I've been loving it. I literally put 2 scoops of the mix, sometimes just 1, banana, strawberries, peanut butter, ice, yogurt. And when I add it up, if it's 2 scoops of the serious mass, it's 2,000 calories.
Right.
And it's like, if I have that, talking about intermittent fasting, if I have that in the middle of the day or 2 o'clock, that's my whole day.
Right.
And so I could very easily just have 1 protein shake. Granted, it's a large protein mass gainer shake. It's like 60 ounces.
Scoops
Oh, yeah.
Will not barely fit in a standard shaker like that.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, thanks for coming, or I came to you this time. If you saw earlier, we did a good HIIT workout.
Right. We attempted to.
We did one. We did one.
Right.
We just didn't do as much as we thought we were going to.
Right.
But that's okay. It's
always aim high.
Aim for the stars, and if you hit the moon, you're still in space. You did pretty good. As long as you brought a spacesuit and you have oxygen, otherwise you're dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to quote, since it's a podcast, he's not real, he doesn't know me, but he's a mentor of mine, I would say.
Okay.
Ray Dalio, who operates the largest hedge fund in the world, he always says, this isn't verbatim, but he always says, it's okay not to, hit all your goals every day, as long as you're just doing them.
Exactly.
Every day.
Yeah, I really prescribe to that too. Subscribe. By the way, subscribe in case you haven't already. Much appreciated.
And likes.
Yep. But yes, 100%. If you have a positive mindset, and Nick and I were talking about this on a couple podcasts before, if you have a positive mindset, if you are actively working towards your goal, and if you have your goals written down and you know how one day's actions fit into the larger goal, fit into the larger plan, you're doing great. Even if that one day isn't an extremely positive day, even if it doesn't have everything go right during it, even if it goes wrong, if you're following your plan over a long period of time or even a relatively short period of time, if you're following a plan, you're doing good.
Right.
And that helps, I think, me in a lot of ways kind of deal with the fluctuations of the day, because a lot of shit happens. As we've seen recently, there was a bombing, there was this shit, there was the potential delay of the election. Was
that really happening?
The delay?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't even think it's possible.
Right, exactly.
If you really pay attention to kind of the dynamics of what Trump does and how he kind of plays politics, it's a distraction.
Right, exactly.
It's a distraction from the economy, from just the negative, obviously negative jobs report that goes with the economy, and just all the other shit that's going on. So, but no, don't worry about this. Look over here, delaying the election.
Right.
So, but yeah, if you have a goal and you set your plan and you follow the S.M.A.R.T.E.R goal system, which is what we're going to go over today.
Right. I'm interested to hear about that, actually.
Yeah, so we'll get right into it. Okay, so the S.M.A.R.T.E.R goal system is just one mnemonic of many possible different systems that you could use. It was developed by this business management basically consultant way back in 1985 or 82. His name was George Doran, and he just came up with the SMART system. Basically, SMART, S is specific, M is meaningful or measurable, A is achievable, R is relevant, and T is timely. So that was the original system. And then later, people added evaluated and reviewed. So these words are kind of subjective to what your goal is, what your perspective is. S could be specific, simple, sensible, significant. M could be measurable, meaningful, motivating. So that we'll go through each one, letter by letter. But there's some variations to it, depending upon what specific goal. Like let's say if you're making it a business-oriented objective, if you want to be VP in 6 months and you want to get $300,000 a year or something crazy like that, there's specific, more business-focused kind of terminology and mindset that you'd use
you can
for
cater
right.
more specifically to your goals.
Right. Or as compared to I want to develop more friendships and be closer with my family and do this kind of stuff. Then it's more of an emotional kind of perspective, more connected to the individual self kind of perspective.
Right.
So yeah, we'll start with S. Specific, simple, sensible, significant. So I guess I might as well go ahead and do this, and you can do it too if you want.
Right. Specific is actually, I think, something very important personally for me.
Really?
I think specific goals work better, right, than large. What's the word?
Generic, nebulous.
Generic, right?
Yeah.
Go.
I like nebulous because it reminds me of space.
Even when you try to say you're going to lose weight, I think it's better if you say you're going to lose X amount of weight.
Exactly.
Right, and quantify
right.
everything that you're doing to the best of your abilities. Even I'm going to lose X amount of weight in X amount of time, right?
Right. And and these things they're individual words, and they're meant to help you make the overall system, overall goal. So it's not
plan,
right. So it's specific goes with relevant, which goes with timely. So they all kind of work together. But yeah, specific. So what's your specific goal? Because I think for me, I'm going to make my specific goal for this example the combination running a 5K and doing 500 pound deadlift. And I need to have smaller goals in those, right? So those are fitness goals for me, right? So I'm going to focus, actually maybe fitness goals, maybe I should do one fitness and one podcast related. Why not? Something like that. But what about you? What do you think would be your specific? Put you on the spot.
I think I personally would do a career related one.
Okay.
Just because I'm at a point in my life. I'm about to turn 32. And I just...
Happy almost birthday.
Thank you.
When is it? Actually, no, don't tell me because on the day.
Actually.
Ah, nice. Yeah. That'll be fun.
Right. Hopefully, right? If COVID's not.
Depending upon what the situation is, yeah. I mean, we're already wearing masks.
Right.
Just put on a different one and you're good to go.
That's true. That's true. But
So what, professionally what?
I recently am trying to pick up a new career.
Oh. Just like me?
Yep. Exactly. And I would say finance, more specifically, I guess asset management.
Nice. Okay, so that's
and
pretty general though.
That's a general goal. Yeah. So for now, the past couple year I've been in a school, I guess.
Nice. Oh yeah, you're taking classes, right?
Right, exactly. And I just finished up, and my first goal is to actually join that program, and I'm in the process of that.
Nice.
I'm trying to join that program so I can just continue.
Right. Keep your education going and all that. And there's so much to learn.
Keep the network of people that are like-minded. I think that's really important.
That's a huge thing. Who you surround yourself with is so incredibly important. If people are trying to bring you down, if they're not trying to contribute to your success, if they're negative, if they're, why? I mean, you don't have to exclude them from your life altogether. I think there are certain tiers of friendships and acquaintances and all that.
Right. I mean, in business you have to, but I feel like I might be sounding, I guess, overly aggressive, but I think bad relationships, unless it's immediate family, I think you dust them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no...
I think I prescribe to the, I don't burn bridges, I let them slowly rot and decay over time.
Oh, wow.
There are certain times where it's like, okay, you got to burn the bridge. Totally agree with you.
I agree with you. There's
someone
no point
disrespects your girlfriend or, fights you or something.
Right, there's no point of actively burning bridges, but, I mean,
unless you just like being alone.
At least making a decision that this relationship is not worthwhile.
Yeah, that's true.
Having that knowledge, I think, is important.
Sometimes you got to do that.
Right.
It's okay to be selfish and put your own self, your own health, your own life goals.
Right. I mean,
over someone else's
selfish,
negativity.
right? Because at the end of the day,
I guess not really.
Right? Because
I think we're all
trying
selfish.
to get to
we're
a
all selfish.
certain point, right? And if if you're a headwind, at the end of the day, that's kind of, and we're trying to get to goals that are obviously hard to get to. That's right. We're not setting,
these things aren't just going to be given.
Right. We might set small goals along the way, but and I think having any headwind, is just makes it just that much harder, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that kind of ties right into the M, which is meaningful. There's a couple different measurable, meaningful, or motivating. So there's different kind of perspective to measurable or meaningful. If you have an exact measurable goal.
I mean, for me, I like measurable. That sounds really good.
Yeah, I like measurable too, so I'm going to go with that. So obviously, 500-pound deadlift, that's measurable.
That's a lot, man. That's a lot.
Yeah, trying. But the hard part to do it at the same time is doing a 20-minute 5K.
No straps?
No straps.
Oh, wow.
No straps. So that's, the grip strength. I'm a climber, so I'm trying to work on the grip strength too.
I think straps are cheap. I'm not crazy.
I use my PR right now is with straps, so I have to say I love straps.
Right.
But for right now, for PR 500. The challenge is going to be being able to do both of those at the same time or in the same week and all that. So
that's interesting. Though,
that's what.
Aren't they sort of
completely opposite?
Conflicting,
right? Completely opposite.
Right.
Yeah. So that's going to be a lot. And that's kind of my challenge to myself.
That is a challenge,
in all of this development and learning and process to figure out how to do it. NFL athletes know how to do it.
Exactly.
Maybe
they might be capable to do it at your age,
or even if I can't do it long term, I can strive to do it.
Right.
If I get 22 minutes and 500, I'll be happy. I'll still strive to the 20 minute because the story behind it. It's so funny to me. It's one of those light bulb kind of memories. It was it's like November something. Where it was like 5K race, senior year of high school. I was on the track or the cross country team. And so we have the men's team and the women's team, right? And this is kind of sexist, man card. It's kind of always sexist, but that's part of it. So in order to get your man card on the men's cross country team, you had to beat every single girl's time.
Oh, wow.
And so, there were some pretty fast girls out there.
I'm not going to lie. I went to a small boarding school, so our sports wasn't that competitive.
Right.
But there was a girl that had a fast time.
There's always one.
In the 200.
I think the girl's name was Maria Boff, and her fastest time or her average time was late 16s, mid 17s, 17:20, 17:15,
yeah, so that's not,
stuff like that. She was fast. So I had never beaten her or 3 or 4 or 5 of the women at the top. But one day in November, it was raining and cold and windy, and the track was a whole bunch of ups and downs. And back then, I loved hills. I attacked hills. It was just as fast as possible up them. So combine those factors and the fact that I think Maria actually lost one of her shoes in a mud pit.
Oh,
they were going around the corner, and all these people obviously are trying to go right as close to the corner as possible because that's the fastest time even though if you went a little bit faster around the outside, just like in NASCAR, you go on the bank and go faster, you pass.
The best line.
Either way, right. So it was so muddy. It literally got to the point where it was like a shoe graveyard.
Right.
And shoes are just stuck everywhere in the mud, and people are stepping on the shoes on purpose to get over the mud. It's hilarious. I remember that distinctly. And I think she lost one of her shoes. Either way, I beat her time by all of 6 seconds.
Wow. Without her shoe?
Right. Oh, yeah. She finished the last mile without her shoe. She was whatever. The ground's wet.
That's
she was
crazy.
fine. It didn't. I think she kind of gave up at that point, but gave up and still got 20:07, I think.
It's 6 seconds slower than you, right?
Yeah, around there, because I got 19:57.
Jeez.
So I beat 20 minutes for the first time, and I beat all the women, and I got my man card. Super excited.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the ultimate. I'm just trying to relive my high school days. No, I'm kidding, but
it's a big challenge, though.
It's a challenge.
Fast,
yeah, for sure. That's six. Was it 6:40?
Yeah,
pretty much
6.5 minutes. Right.
Yeah.
That's
so. Because it's 6:40 if it was 3 miles.
Right.
But because it's 3.1, it's 6:35 or 6:32 or something.
There you go. The math was.
Yeah, I've done it in my head a few times.
Right, jeez, but that's really fast.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever ran. My fastest is a 6:40, so I don't think.
Really?
Yeah, that was 1 mile.
It's going to be a challenge for
around
me.
the track.
I can't tell you the last time I ran a super fast mile. Probably was when I was trying to prep for the Army stuff, and I did No, it's like 7:20 or something because I did 2
How fast
miles.
is what's the requirement?
The requirement for me right then, because I was trying to do the officer stuff, was 14 minutes for 2 miles.
Oh,
So 7-minute pace. So it was pretty. I mean,
That's
it wasn't
in boots, right?
Like no,
Or in
thankfully
oh,
no.
okay.
It was just the PT kind of test.
Oh, okay.
But
still hard.
But yeah, I mean that kind of goes to the next one. Achievable.
Right.
A is achievable, or attainable, or acceptable.
Right.
Less so acceptable because that implies, it's up to you. But yeah, attainable or achievable. Like for me, it's going to be a challenge to do 500 dead, 20-minute 5K.
Right.
But I truly believe that's achievable. And I wouldn't make that my goal if I couldn't. There's no way I would be able to do a 15-minute 5K. Just absolutely no way.
Right.
15-minute 5K is like 450 per minute. There are people that do it.
But you can't do it,
and also in the combination, there's no way.
Yeah.
If I dropped all of my weight,
right,
maybe I could do it. But then, yeah, so either way. So, yeah, for yours, I mean, yeah, asset management is the specific. Meaningful, obviously it's meaningful to you. You want to switch jobs, just find your passion, do something that you enjoy.
Right.
Because that's really what it comes down to. If you're going to do something that you enjoy.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's...
You wake up and actually have fun doing what you're doing.
I mean, that's... I think I'm very thankful that I finally found something that I actually enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Where... I wake up and it's the first thing that I want to do.
Yep.
And it's the last thing that I do before going to bed.
Yep.
Even if it's casual. So
right. It's still on your mind. You're thinking about it.
Whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So.
And that's like.
That's how it is for you. And your podcast.
Absolutely. I mean, I still enjoy my day job. If anyone from work is watching, but yeah, I mean, and that's I think is a huge generational perspective from. 2 generations, 3 generations to go to our generation, is that you don't have to just, obviously you need to provide for your family, you need to provide for yourself, you need to live, but if you think back 4 or 5 generations ago, sorry, John, if you don't like farming, if you don't if you don't have a profession, you're dead.
I mean,
you don't have any income, food source, you're just... What are you doing?
This conversation would be ridiculous.
This is not... Yeah,
they would slap us in our face. What are you doing? Get out there.
It's like, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, Johnny boy, and go paint some fences. So, and that's one thing I am incredibly thankful for. Even just the ability to do this, to have the job that I have, to have the resources I have, to have the friends, the circle, the ability to think and communicate and have free speech. Fuck yeah, First Amendment.
Right.
It's incredible. Yeah. So attainable, achievable. I think both of our goals are absolutely attainable and achievable. It's
yeah, man. Honestly, so just to add a little, I think so. My goal that I actually set about a year ago, a year and a half ago, I went to the workshop, which kind of began my journey in their program, and they actually hand out these promise cards that you make to yourself. And I remember
I like that.
I was so motivated and moved
by just the promise card. Did you
write
it
by
down?
The promise card, and also so I still have it in my wallet, and it was that I was going to become a coach by 35. But hopefully I can beat that goal by 3 years, and that would be whenever you set goals and you beat it, it's a great feeling.
And that's
even when you write down your daily plan on the whiteboard and you just erase it, that shit feels good,
I think that's a huge consulting thing too. Under promise, over deliver.
Exactly.
It implies same thing to your goals. And I mean, even if you know it's a trick, just like, haha, I'm going to trick my brain into thinking I'm more successful than I am. Whatever. You're enjoying it. It's a positive developmental thing. Use the brain hack. Why not? I mean, hell, you used up, down, left, right, A, B, star on the old PlayStation to unlock a character or whatever it is. It's like, why not hack your brain?
I mean,
in the future we're going to. Why not now?
A behavioral psychologist in Korea, actually. I mean, Dr. Kim is his name. And I came across his videos on YouTube, and I pretty much watched all of his. And he gives little tips on how to trick your brain.
Nice.
And one of the things that he tells you is on Sundays, when you don't want to go to work on Monday, get up and restart your week, right? 'Cause at the end of your weekend, He says if you write specific things that you're going to do on Monday,
I like it.
It just tricks your brain into, to get going instead of, you know what I mean? Because you're going to think about it, you're going to look at it, you're going to feel antsy, right? That's how I feel.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the morning, instead of, kind of screwing off, I get up and try to get to number one, right?
Yeah.
So I can get to number two and then so forth.
It's crazy how much of it's easier said than done, of course.
Of course.
But having that just set perspective of, this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
This is the goals that I'm going to get done. These are the actions. It distracts you from just the whole getting started, doing something, the start of the week.
Right.
Yeah. So 100% agreed on that. And whether or not you write in your journal, or if you write in a journal, or write on note cards, or your little schedule, or even just notate in your head.
Feels good just
I love, dude. You haven't seen my place yet. I put two huge whiteboards on my wall now. I can't tell you how excited I was to get both of those whiteboards. Put them up there. They are level. The roof itself is not level, but the whiteboards are level. It's amazing. Yeah, little things like that. And those help towards the goals. Anything that can help towards a goal, I think, is a worthwhile thing.
I think, honestly, just do it. Just write down the plan. You might not do the whole of the plan, but at least write it down is how I feel.
Because you can always go back and change it.
Right, exactly.
And that's a key part. We'll get into that later, is being flexible. Is it's okay to change things. It's okay to know that it's not perfect.
Right.
It's just a...
So that's what the quote was from Ray Dalio, was, it's okay to be imperfect.
Okay, nice.
Is what he said. So don't try to be a perfectionist.
Yeah, that's true.
That is not...
Yeah, I struggle with that all the time. I'm way too hard on myself in certain situations where I could have done this, or I should have done this. It's not healthy, because the more time, there's a certain healthiness to it, but the more time that you dwell on your mistakes, the less time you have to make those mistakes not mistakes. Do positive things in the future.
Do something productive, right?
Yeah.
From stuff you learned through those mistakes, you mean, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we'll go into so both of those kind of so the next two, relevant and timely, R and T. So R could also be realistic, relevant, resourced, results based. T could be timely, time bound, time frame, time sensitive.
Right.
So make it so that it applies to you. Make it so that it kind of matches your core values, because that's, if you do something that's completely against your core values, it's going to be a constant struggle. Sometimes struggle is good, but, if you're, I don't know, trying to think of the exact example right now, I've had it before. But if you're going against what your core nature is, it's not really going to work if you try to align it with what you're doing already.
Right. That's just,
I don't know.
It's kind of just goes against you, right?
Right.
As an identity.
I'll see if I can remember the example I was going to bring earlier. But okay, so timely, pretty self-explanatory. Whether or not it's 3 months or a year or 5 years, have some sort of time frame associated to your goal.
Right.
In terms of how you want to achieve that, if you want to break up your goal into smaller goals,
right,
and have other time zones and time frames for those, that's good too. And so once you do all of that, you're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timely goal. It all works together. Then, afterwards, you evaluate it. You either self-evaluate it or have an outside evaluator.
Right.
So that's your own kind of okay, how are things going? And it's just based on how you're feeling, based on your journaling, based on everything that you log and write down, how's it going? And then to finish it up is reviewed or readjust. And that's just...
once you get that immediate feedback, right?
Exactly, yeah. And so whether or not it's daily, I don't think it needs to be a daily thing. You can, just in terms of, if your goal is to, interact with more people at work and communicate better with your boss and all that kind of stuff, then you can do it. And that's okay to have a daily, smarter goal. Or you can have monthly, or yearly review check-ins, and with smaller check-ins in the short term.
Right.
But all of these things, so there was a couple quotes in the article that I read that really thought were great verbiage. So a goal is to help invoke a more visceral, tangible, and actionable path to what we deserve in life. It's to help visually embrace what we want, and without goals that are set in quote-unquote the right way, because the right way is flexible and it's based on your own, so it's different. And not everything has to be the one right way, but without goals that are set the right way, it's more unclear what direction to go. And think about how simple things were 100, 200, 300 years ago in terms of what people's goals were, like we were talking about.
Right, just to
food,
survive.
family, survive.
Right, exactly.
Pretty simple. And think about how
past 40.
Right. Yeah. It was huge. But think about now, like in terms of how we're adjusting and the people that we are, and,
right. I mean,
and like the ability for someone to be an asset manager, to go be a politician, to help people, to be a podcast host,
right,
or a personal trainer. Like it's insane.
It's a blessing. I always say that
it's
a blessing to be born now, and you know.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been really cool to be a pirate on the high seas in the 1100s. But then you have to worry about contracting the plague from a rat.
Have you thought about like plumbing?
You
ever thought about plumbing?
Yeah,
like,
plumbing is a huge thing.
That's a huge thing that we take for granted.
I would actually go back and live in like ancient Rome because they actually had pretty good plumbing.
But
they had the Roman baths. They had the aqueducts.
I don't know. I mean, I know they did, but they probably were stinky.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think there was definitely like the rotting corpses outside from the people who just. Yeah, I mean, remember, have you ever seen Monty Python?
Right, and then that's like the people that can afford baths, right? Like the bottom people.
Sorry, let me add a caveat. Right. I'd go back to ancient Rome and be rich.
Right, exactly.
There you go.
And live in Rome.
A little different.
Right, and just be in the middle of Rome.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's the S.M.A.R.T.E.R goal system. I'll get into that in more detail later, just kind of different examples. Because that really is, it's, any sort of writing something down, defining something takes time, takes effort, takes a self-evaluation. It takes being really honest with yourself in terms of where you're at and what you want to do. And that's not easy,
no,
really.
It's not.
Some people don't like to write journals because it's like, oh, I'm going to talk to myself or but I mean, I don't know. For me, writing a journal and like having that self-evaluation.
No, it's important.
It's helped me so much.
Personally, I don't write journals, right. But I personally like to go on walks.
Nice.
And then think.
That's cool.
Even at home, I like to just pace,
nice.
And think about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever your method, that sort of brain time to focus on what you're doing, I think that's the most important part for sure.
It's all about, one of my mentors have told me, it's all about when you set a goal, you plan the work. And then you work the plan, right?
Nice.
And that's things. And then all these acronyms, honestly, even when I was younger, and even me a couple of years ago, if someone said some, plan the work the plan, like, what plan?
But it is true. It
is true.
Yeah,
it's true. It's absolutely true.
And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You got to feed the right wolf. That's another one of those things.
Right.
It's like, whatever you put time and effort and focus into, if it's positive things, that's awesome. That's the whole thing. That's the goal. But if you put your time and effort and thoughts and emotions into something negative, that's only going to bring you down. Mm-hmm. It's not going to help you on your path. It's just like, it's just generally not a healthy thing. Don't do it, okay? It'll make me happy.
Right. I mean, it's crazy because negative things, personally, I feel like, tend to be more infectious, right?
Yeah.
Like they snowball quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Right, when you're angry or irritated or you're just not feeling happy, it just snowballs if you let it snowball. But it's funny how when you're happy, it's really fleeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just even if it's a big, moment, it's very right. It's not like that's why I feel like, just to go off what you said, you really have to consciously shut that off, and have things to check that.
Yeah, and it's a struggle for me. Every time I go work out and I see someone, it sounds so stupid, but every time I go work out and see someone bigger, just like, damn it, Joe, why did you slack off all those years?
Right.
Why are you such a failure? And it's just like I can't stop it. And it's just like, because it's just like, oh, you had so much potential. You could have done this every day, every other day for the past 7 years when you didn't work out, and you would be that big. But the problem is, that's comparing. You can only compare to yourself.
Exactly.
And that's really the only thing you can do, because you don't know who that person is.
Right.
You don't know what they've gone through, how much work. Right.
And how clean he eats, how many times he works out, and
all
that.
Or he just takes steroids and he's big, and but that's okay. He's acceptable. He's accepted those risks of steroids. I thought about those a lot too, but I'm not willing to accept those risks. So yeah, I mean, it's and then, you know, the whole empathetic, put yourself in other people's shoes kind of thing. Like, in terms of you don't know what they've done, like you said, like, yeah, it's just it's a hard thing to not have those kind of thoughts, but it requires the active, you know, you address the thought. And I mean, like, it's a little plan that I have in my head. So you have the negative thought.
Right.
You recognize, like, okay, what is that, you know, negative thought really from? So, like, my example of looking at someone in the gym being like, oh, I wish I was bigger, thinking negatively of myself. That comes from, you know, jealousy, and then also just a criticism of myself.
Right.
And it's just like, okay, so you recognize the negative emotion, and then you find, like, the positive alternative of it. So the positive alternative is just like, okay, well, there's someone I could go talk to and see what they did. There's a potential learning experience.
Right.
Or there's someone to model and look up to and try to achieve to.
A bar for
Right.
you to get to, right?
Right. And oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I've loved going into the gym and seeing like, okay, you know, stop trying to compare to people, but it's it's part of it. You know, male ego type thing is real, and that's part of the motivation.
That's the gym culture.
Right. And then the final step is kind of repeating that to yourself. I
Right.
mean, so whenever you think of that negative thought, repeat the positive and remind yourself that you went through that kind of chain of identifying what you're doing, recognizing it as a negative emotion, switching it to the positive emotion, and then setting that mantra or kind of positive motion thing. And you're just like, okay, so let's I mean, like, if it takes me 2 minutes to get to that point and feel positive after the negative the first time, and then it takes me a minute the next time, and 30 seconds the next time,
like
and then
working out, right? You're training your threshold.
You're training your mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. I think people don't think of, I mean, not people, I don't want to generalize here, but most young people aren't aware of that fact until it's too late, right?
Yeah. And that's, I mean, and that's, I think, part of, not to blame society, but.
And then I'm not trying to say that I have emotional, you know, I'm
not perfect.
Exactly.
Right. And I am not enlightened. I'm not that, like, Benito Musano dude.
Exactly.
Who's just like, I don't know if you never. Like,
but I'm aware, I'm trying to be more aware of my problems that I have, I guess, emotionally, or tendencies that I have that aren't productive or beneficial to me, you know, and then I'm at a point where I'm trying to find ways to deal with them, you know, by identifying them when they happen. Yeah. And I think that's the first step, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely, and that's the hardest thing for a lot of people, because, I mean, I myself didn't want to accept a lot of stuff.
Exactly.
As I grow up and develop, it's just like,
it's harsh.
It's just like, accepting it about yourself and having that internal conversation. Being like, but that's, and sometimes people don't. They get to that point where they, like you were saying, like, they just reject the reality. Right. They don't listen to people. They don't listen to perspectives. Right. It's their world. Right. It's their kind of bubble, and it's just, So that's something I think we need to get better at, and that just goes back to being, like, what it means to be human.
Right.
Like, we don't really obviously know what it means to be human yet. There's a lot of different ideologies and perspectives, and, you know, certain, like, a lot of people who think they know what it means to be human in terms of either religion or perspective, economy, social, all kind of stuff. But I mean, developmental, nature versus nurture.
Right.
We don't know.
Of course.
I mean, I think nature versus nurture is pretty set at this point that it's a combination of both.
Right.
It's not just nature, it's not just nurture.
I believe I believe in an equal footing. I know some people like to believe nurturing has more of a so, because it's more human, right? It makes us more of a conscious, in control of our instead of wild animals, right? That are just
I think it's it depends on, going back to the T, your time scale. So, you know, in the short term, maybe has more of a percentage to nurture than it does to nature. Or maybe it's the other way around.
I think it's the other way around.
In the short term, there's more of a nature component, and then, more than nurture. But in the long term,
it's
you have more positive nurture than you.
Right.
So it's like,
because just like IQ, it doesn't, like, technically, you might learn faster but at the end of the day, life isn't about learning stuff fast and constantly learning new stuff. It's more about repeating,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Stuff that you learn.
And the problem with IQ tests, for one, it was never supposed to be a general test of intelligence.
Exactly.
The dude literally said, "Don't use this as a general test of intelligence."
For the military, right?
I think so.
Right.
I mean, it was back in like early 1900s or late 18.
It was an aptitude test for military, I think.
I think so.
Right.
Developed
by the military.
Yeah. Because the military wanted him to develop it for that.
Right.
We'll fact check. I mean, that's what we need for the podcast is a fact checker. Just like Joe Rogan has his fact checker. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, keeping with the time, trying at 35. So we'll talk about 5 more minutes and then wrap it up. All right. So yeah, I mean, all this has been great. I mean, talking about goals, having that conversation with both yourself and other people is great. I wish we had more of that in society at large.
Absolutely.
Just talking about things like, hey guys, what do you think our priorities should be as a country or as a community or as a city or as a state? I think sometimes there are those conversations, but
I mean,
it's very divisive.
Right. I mean, the system was developed, right, as a tool to do that, but now it's become slightly politicized.
A little bit. Maybe just a little.
Just a little. So,
the whole war on everything.
Right. I mean, it's an interesting time.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, this stuff, I think in terms of topics, we're good. Like, we'll talk about success and all that kind of stuff later because this is an ongoing process for sure.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, just to talk about what's been going on now, it's just like, it's crazy. I think about it sometimes, like, how are we going to work through this as a country? Like,
do you think COVID will ever disappear?
I mean, has the flu ever disappeared?
Right. I mean,
it's a different type of virus, but it's a very similar virus too. So depending upon how you look at it, yes, it's not the influenza strain, but it's still it's the coronavirus.
We're not going to realistically, I don't think, have a vaccine until next summer.
I mean, I hope that's wrong,
I mean,
but
considering about time, we're putting.
Yeah, I think it's Moderna has and they just released their first round of like results, and it was very positive.
It was positive
for sure, but that's the first round, and it's just the amount of steps and development between that and the entire world having access, and not just the people with money having access to it. Like,
exactly.
That there's a lot of stuff.
All people being able to take it, right? That are older citizens, that's.
We'd prioritize older and more, likely.
Right. I mean, those are the ones that actually need it. Then,
Yeah.
So this is like our World War II, World War I moment for our generation.
There are going to be entire classes of historians that base their career around all this craziness, because, this period in time.
We've never
been like this.
We lost more people now, right? We have 200,000 deaths, right? That's
more than. That was, I think 200,000 cases.
No way, because we have 50-some thousand cases per day now. So it's 200. I think we lost as much people as World War I. I think. U.S.
No way.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Almost.
Total coronavirus deaths in U.S.
Yeah, 200,000. I think.
Deaths in U.S. Yep. Chet, you're right.
Right?
Yep. About 100. As of this, it says 4.86 million confirmed cases and 159,000 deaths.
Right. So that's like World War I almost, right?
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, but I wonder how that's going to play in because, no offense to the old people, but technically World War I took out a lot of the young, working,
absolutely,
up and coming population. Whereas this kind of, right?
It definitely
at
affects.
The end of the day, it also cuts down social security payouts.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, look at this. Okay, so
right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and as of June 16th, more Americans died from COVID than World War I because there was 116,516 killed during World War I. So yeah, it's almost 1.5 times at this point. So yeah, and then I'm in no position to criticize central governments and stuff, but it's kind of you're in the best position to criticize central governments.
I think it's kind of crazy that here in America we are having such a hard time dealing with this.
Yeah, and not to get into all
it's very third worldly. I'm not trying to label countries, but it's very third worldly. Like, this is not global leader stance on a we're losing control, clearly.
Yeah, I think there were some like systematic changes that the administration is going to regret in terms of the preparation for what's going on. But the problem is, it's not just this administration, because Obama knew about it, Bush knew about the potential of a pandemic happening. I mean, there's been SARS, there's been, swine flu. There's always been these kind of things, and coincidentally, they always kind of line up with election years.
I mean,
but
I honestly don't have a problem with it. You can get crazy. I mean, no one can make models for things that they've never seen. It's hard to do that, but I personally think, but by now, the fact that we have 50, 60,000 cases, and it's spiking.
Yeah.
At
that,
4
you're talking
months
about months ago at that point.
Now is ridiculous. I don't think that's acceptable.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain things like, the politicization of masks.
Right.
Is just crazy.
That is crazy.
I mean, I can understand now at this point with now that everything's divided already. I can see how some people are like, oh well, why wear a mask? Because half the people aren't wearing a mask. So I can see at this point why some people still have that.
So that's still going on, that mask war.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still that back and forth.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
It's been proven.
Yeah,
if you see Asia and countries in Europe that wore masks,
absolutely,
they flattened the curve.
It's not a new thing to wear a mask.
I mean, it makes sense if you cover.
Yeah. So, but that's before we get on the rant about politics and all that craziness. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I just am sad that people have to die because they're screwing off right now, trying to nitpick who's got the bigger stick. You know what I mean?
I think some fundamental differences in how flight restrictions were enacted, in terms of how states closed and reopened, would have had a massive change. And the problem is, we haven't learned from the mistakes that we've already made.
Keep on making
We're reopening schools
over again.
There's certain things that schools have done that are great that are preventing a lot of stuff from happening. So one school has different bell timers. So there's certain people that are in the hall and then others. So there's little things like that are helping. But the fundamental act of going back to school and having all those children in one environment with teachers who connect it back to the whole environment, society, the community at large, it's a horrible idea.
I mean, the crazy thing is, school? They started school here at some counties this week, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen headlines of,
oh my God, yeah,
so many faculty.
I think it was in the South Fulton school or something.
Gwinnett, 273, I think, faculty. I don't know why I remember that number.
Already,
they were sent home.
Because it's ridiculous.
On the first day.
Why. Yeah.
So,
and the response to it has been horrible, because there was already one student posted a picture of the dense packed hallways, and she literally got suspended.
Wow.
And then, to top it off, the school administrator got over the announcement the next day and pretty much said that if you take photos that put this environment in a negative light, there's going to be consequences. And they have this on audio, man. And it's just it's pretty much saying, don't be a whistleblower, you're going to get punished.
And then the thing is,
just insane.
That, I think this COVID is really bringing out this very, it's really personal. I mean, I don't know if I should say this, but it's almost anti-American, very, overbearing, we're going to monitor you, censoring type of rhetoric is just, whether all sorts of movements where they, if you're not on, in that little narrow lane, we're gonna.
I mean, does anyone remember Kent State?
No, I have no idea.
Oh wow, yeah, that's probably because you're not from America. Literally, there was protests for the Vietnam War at a college, Kent State, and there was the National Guard that was brought in to basically put down the protest. And there was literally hippies with flowers in their ears and all this other stuff.
Wow.
And they were just protesting the Vietnam War, saying we don't like it. They weren't inciting violence. They weren't doing any of that. And basically, the troops came in and opened fire.
Right.
And I think five people died, or 7 people died or something. And that was in 80 or 67 or 68 or something like that. And I mean, that example has happened so many times. I mean, the hugely known one is Tiananmen Square.
Right.
Obviously, that was a
in
huge
Korea
one
too.
in China.
Yeah,
I
there
mean,
was one in the
There
80s.
are too many to
Hungary.
count.
Yeah.
The amount of
Where-
times that people have put down opposing ideologies just because they didn't fit in. And so we're not at the time anymore in our society where that's acceptable. You can't do that.
Oh,
And as America, we shouldn't be doing that.
we're regressing though. I mean, in that
Absolutely.
lane,
Absolutely.
especially, I think
Yeah.
we're. I don't know what this not.
So,
free.
but we're regressing now. But
Right.
that does not mean it's a concrete, for sure thing. In the optimistic perspective improvement side of things, we're going to bring it back before we ended up.
I mean,
right. We
I
can
mean,
change. We can change it through conversation.
Love America, obviously.
I love America.
I am American, and I still
Team
think
America
this is
World
the-
Police is one of my favorite
I
movies.
mean, this is special. I still
Horribly
think this
racist,
is, there's a reason why millions of people still
Absolutely.
try to immigrate to America
Absolutely.
from all over the world. So,
Yeah. We have our problems,
Right.
just like anything else. I think I would say we're a 12-year-old little boy right now, growing up. Like in the span of as a country,
We're a young nation.
we've done a lot of great stuff so far. We've had 3 home runs in our little league practice. We've done this, that, and
Right.
whatever. But we're emotionally underdeveloped as a society,
right.
and we need to get back to, or no, maybe we used to be the high school student and the college star, and now we regress back to that 12-year-old
Exactly.
little boy.
Right.
And we need to get back to that college star and be the
Absolutely.
shining light on the hill, because I think America for a long time has been a shining light on the
Right.
hill.
Post
For other
World War
countries,
II, right.
yeah.
I mean,
It's like we have the most free and open democracy. Everyone has a vote, one vote,
Right.
one voice. I mean, one voice, one vote. And that's not really the case anymore because of the politicization of things, because of lobbyists, because of corporations.
Not at all, yeah.
Like, one person's vote does not equal
Did you
everyone else's
catch
vote.
any of those big tech hearings at all?
No, about what? Oh, like when they brought in
Zuckerberg, Bezos,
Mhm.
and Google CEO.
So I got glimpses of it. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
interesting.
What was your take on all of it?
I mean, I know how those Senate hearings go,
Right.
and I know they're just a show.
Mhm.
For them
A
to
lot
score
of it.
points.
A lot of it.
But it was interesting what they said about Facebook.
Yeah, I think we'll do a podcast review of that at some point, because I need to get back and look at that, because I mean that really is like those antitrust hearings about how large those corporations are becoming
Right.
is really, really important, and that's something that we need to have a bigger conversation with as a society, because if we move forward with what we're doing, Amazon or Facebook or Google,
own
they're
world.
just going to control everything.
Right.
And they're going to get to the point where they're more powerful than a central country or a single country.
Right.
And it's like, let's say something happens and we have a World War III. They might be the ones to take over.
Right.
Jeff Bezos with $170 billion might be the one to be like, okay, now North America and South America is now Amazon.
I mean, that was interesting also what they brought
who
up
knows?
about Amazon, about how they take, best-selling items,
Oh,
electronics, and they'll make their own and just undercut people.
And that's
their business model, though.
That's
pretty much,
ridiculous.
though,
And they've
right?
done
I
that
mean,
from the very beginning.
that's what
From
they
the
do,
very
right?
beginning, they've established it. They bring other people. They basically have built the highway and
Right.
let other people ride on it.
Right.
And they have cameras all throughout the highway, and they're just like, oh, what's this person doing? Let's do that instead. And yeah, I mean, it's time and time again they've shown that. And that's not a predatory tactic. What is? Or maybe not predatory. Anti.
I mean, it is predatory.
Yeah,
I mean,
predatory.
that's pretty. I mean, for a
Yeah.
guy
just
that's
not-
trying to make satellites all around the globe and send people to Mars,
Yeah,
for
so
him to
those
be
are-
undercutting, like, I mean, come on, really?
Yeah. So those are definitely conversations that people need to be having.
But it's
Like,
convenient though, man. I am really
Oh.
late to Amazon, and I started ordering stuff. It's very convenient.
It's disgusting how many orders I've made this year.
Oh.
You want to guess?
I don't know.
Guess.
100?
In the 2020,
Yeah. 100?
like, thankfully, no, 53.
53. That's not
53,
that bad.
but that only counts like the whole orders, not even just the individual items.
Damn, that's more than one a week though.
Yeah. Well, multiple a week, but
Yeah, that's
I have binges. That $1,200,
Almost
thank
two
you,
a
Donald
week.
Trump. That binged me on Amazon. Horrible. I got a few things I needed though, for sure. Some fun things. But yeah, so and to wrap it up, goal setting is extremely important. That's going to be a part of the Improve with Joe kind of philosophy, mentality, what I'm going to prescribe to, and help other people kind of understand that it's a very central thing.
Right.
And having conversations like these about them, whether or not it's individual goals, societal goals, community goals, your family goals, I mean, that's, me and my girlfriend have goals together that now we've talked about. And it's like certain financial goals and certain, fitness goals that we're both trying to work towards and achieve. And I can't even describe how amazing it is. Yeah, baby. Thank you. Like having someone else be there, help you along with it, be supportive in that same way. I'm not saying just go out and get a girlfriend just for someone to be supportive, but like have a friend for that. So we need to do that more. So I can't thank you enough for coming on, or for me having you on.
Good workout, actually.
Yeah, definitely. I am tired and looking forward to more food.
I'm gonna get
Sleep.
a nice sleep
and
tonight.
As you saw from my shirt wringing video, I need to hydrate more too.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, thank you for watching. Any like, share, subscribes? Do you have anything to add on the end?
Likes, subscribe.
Thank you guys. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you. Thank you for being with Joe.